The All Smiling Faces podcast is now sponsored by Tyre Spot, the North East's leading tyre supplier with branches across the region. Tyre Spot don't just do tyres, they cover everything from servicing to wheel alignment. They can handle every aspect of your car's maintenance. For more information, visit tyrespot.co.uk. Enjoy the episode. Hi, everybody, and welcome back to the Always Smiling Faces podcast on the Gallowgateshots YouTube channel for your Monday night fix of all things Newcastle United. Me and Dick have spoke quite a lot about this game. So we done an instant reaction to Fulham 1, Newcastle United 4. So Dick, Mark, we're going to leave this one up to you. And it's all going to be about Mark's opinions tonight.
Oh, hi.
I bet you people are looking forward to that. To tell you off.
Right, season a bit then.
Whoa. Before you go anywhere, you've got a job to do.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, shit, yeah.
It's that long.
Yeah,
So
I know.
That long.
The second win of the season, a long time coming. We've been waiting for these words since the first game of the season.
This is the first time I've heard it.
It'll be, I heard it on Saturday. But I didn't hear it
missed the game.
So, Decker, take it away. Say those magical words.
We won, you know.
Get in!
Took our time to do it. Like I said, plenty of opportunities to do so.
You
But
can go now.
it came. It came eventually. Mark, like I said, me and Decker have spoke a little bit about this. And before I come to you for your opinion, anybody that does have any questions tonight, get them in as early as possible because we're going to probably turn this one into a bit of a question and answer.
And like the video.
And like the video as well. And
Now.
so.
Or we're not going to continue. Have you liked it? Yeah. Thanks.
A lot of, I wouldn't say uproar, but a lot of head scratching when the starting 11 came out, Mark. In the likes of the circles which you're in, so the likes of the WhatsApp groups, the Gallowgateshots WhatsApp group, what was the overall opinion in that before ball has been kicked?
It's the normal Newcastle fan reaction. Absolute hysteria that would change, and that we had certain players playing, certain players missing, that it wasn't the norm as we'd expect. So it's Newcastle fans are mental, aren't they? They really are.
We overreacted.
Just relax. Eddie's got it in hand. But it was a bit odd, wasn't it?
Obviously, so the changes which were made, Joe Linton dropped to the bench. Obviously, we know now that he hadn't trained during the week. That's the reason why he was there. Had picked up a knock. Botman comes in the starting 11, and Dan Burn goes at left back. Does Matt Targett have a knock here, or has Dan Burn shown that he can do a job across that back line?
I mean, it's a position he's played in, a lot in the past. He's played there for Brighton a lot of times in his career. He's played there a lot for us this season. He filled in a couple of times last year as well. So it's a position he's familiar with. We've spoken about how Eddie likes to set the team up in certain formations and have certain players when we're coming up against certain opposition and how they'll play, and kind of to try and counteract some of that as well. So you expect Target to probably be there as your number one left back.
Was feeling unwell.
Yeah,
that was the word going around, that he's feeling unwell. But I think even without that, Decker, Dan Burn is a natural fit at that left back position. We've seen him play there a couple of times so far. He started the season there.
Yeah.
So he's I don't know, safe pair of hands, but obviously he's not using his safe pair of feet.
Yeah, he's absolutely spot on. Honestly, he's brilliant in that position. And if I'm being really honest, he doesn't tick the boxes you would expect a modern day left back or full back to have. Like, he's not got blistering pace. Or he's comfortable on the ball. Like, I'm not denying that, but for me, I was surprised to see Target not on. But that's no slight on Burn. I'm absolutely fine with him going left back. I've got no issues with that. But if he was feeling unwell, obviously that's clearly why. I thought maybe how I'd maybe seen something with the way Fulham play, that maybe Burn is a better fit than what Target was. Maybe it could be
Which
height.
would be
I'm not
sensible,
sure. You know, set pieces or something. I'm not really sure. But if it is unwell, then so be it. But it is lovely to have Botman to slide in there to replace Burn. I mean, because I think Burn's so good at centre half. Botman's absolutely Rolls Royce like at times, like, you know. I mean, obviously, of course, we'll get into the game, but it's lovely to have them options. And Burns, I've got no problem in playing left back.
Yeah,
I mean, we spoke last week about whether we'd see changes in the back four anyway, just to maybe try and do something with Mitro because of the way, you know, his game is. Of they'll be looking to get it up to him. He's a physical kind of character, and whether or not they would, you know, make changes from that side of things. So I wasn't surprised that there was changes in the back four. But you probably do expect if Target's fit, he's going to go in at left back. The big shock for me was obviously Joe Linton being missing, and the fact Murphy started as well. That was the one that really stood out, particularly when you look at. And I know Fraser's missed a couple of games, but when you look at what he's done on international duty and the impact that he's had there over the last couple of games, I expected him to come in.
He's had a slight knock, hasn't he? Is that correct? I know he played in that, and I agree.
Fraser.
Yeah, Fraser.
Of course he has.
Yeah, he just.
He's a walking knock.
He is. But I mean, no slight on any of them. Like, but you know, the two wide areas for Almiron, I mean, had an absolutely unbelievable game. I agree that, you know, you see Murphy on there and you've got Almiron there, Longstaff's in there. Again, I'm not knocking these, but I'm just saying, like, you know, quite quickly you're back to the team that we've seen for years. It feels that way anyway. But
you feel,
I still feel more confident with it. I'm just saying, like, when you
feel
look
a bit deflated though, don't you, when you see the likes of Jolin on the bench and Murphy start, and you think, and obviously say not even making the bench.
Yeah, 100%, mate. Absolutely. I think, I mean, I didn't put anything on Twitter, I don't think, but I just shared it on Facebook with just like an emoji, and I wasn't up in arms. I wasn't annoyed or frustrated. I was just surprised. I was just like, oh, that's it.
Is that because you get less shit sharing it on Facebook of what you do on Twitter?
I'm not really on Twitter as much at the minute, to be fair. Like, but I mean, obviously, I did pop in our group, and I did pop on Twitter for a few minutes, and the world had caved in, and Fulham were going to win 3-0. You know, it was just unbelievable. But it's just the way that people react, isn't it? I think.
So I'm going to stay with you, Decker, because if anybody has watched our instant reaction to the win at Fulham, Decker stated on that one that he was unsure if it was deserving of a red card and a sending off. You'll be glad to know, Decker, just like this absolutely abomination of a Tory government, has done a U-turn.
Yeah. No, absolutely right. I commented back to a few people on YouTube off the match reaction one that we did. I mean, it might sound stupid, I'm going to say, but I'll say it anyway. I was watching the game on an iPad, and it was good quality, but it wasn't amazing, but it was good. And I watched it on there, and honestly speaking, I didn't think it was necessarily a red card. I felt that it wasn't high enough, and I had a few bits and pieces that I said. But then when I watched it on the nighttime on Match of the Day, I was like, Jesus Christ, that's a record. Like the second I seen it, and I was watching it with a few of the lads, and some of them were Sunderland fans, so it wasn't that their opinion swayed us in any way. I just seen it and went, that is 100% a red card.
I was really shocked to hear you say you didn't think it was a red. It's like, especially when you had with the benefit of the replays, because I can understand, like in real time it happening. Yes, there was an immediate reaction from Longstaff and kind of rolling and stuff like that, but the way that the referee was right on top of it, booked him straight away, it probably did seem at that time that it was a yellow card just from that. But then when you saw the replay and what it got, then that's when it really,
as I say,
kind of stuck.
100% was off the mark on that one, and it was a red card. I think. Did you think it was high? Did you think it was high? Do you think it was high enough?
It's not in the. It's not like in the center of his shin, or side of his shin kind of thing. But it was certainly above the ankle.
Which, in fairness, I noticed that more on Match of the Day when I seen it, because my first reaction was it was almost Lace's tongue area. But when I seen it on Match of the Day, I was like, oh, actually, that's higher than that.
Yeah.
What I'd also like to add is how on earth I'm actually shocked Longstaff managed to get over that. Like how we managed to continue, because that was bad.
There was a few comments where I think we said on the reaction video, which we did, that the replay makes it look worse than what it is. But then there's people arguing against that and debating, saying it actually makes it look less serious, like how they slow it down. because in full flow, when you're seeing that, he's fast and reckless into that challenge.
Yeah.
Slowing it down doesn't just give it the justification that obviously how fast and forceful that challenge was. Because, like you said, I think Longstaff is lucky to continue.
Honestly, is really lucky. I think definitely right. I'm not saying anyone's wrong, by the way, by saying either way. I think sometimes when you see it fast, I totally appreciate it. It looks aggressive and it is at full force. I just feel sometimes when it looks more honest that he's trying to play the ball, whereas when it was slow motion and they've paused it, there's a clear sort of stamping or stood, and that's how I thought it looked worse in slow motion. But I'm not saying that people are wrong for seeing the other one, because when you do see it at full speed, I mean, God almighty. And again, I'll repeat, bad. I don't know how, I was very surprised he managed to continue, because he's doing a 360. Booker T.
Well, I think that's the thing, is when you see it at that pace and his reaction of the roll, that's when you know he's gone in hard. But there wasn't any huge kind of, yes, the players obviously went up for the foul, and then say the referee just straight away given the booking, just to me felt like, oh well, he's seen it, he's obviously played through the ball or gone through him or something like that, rather than it be kind of up above the ankle and more dangerous. Yes, it was certainly a tackle that was hit with a lot of pace. So I think it's one of them ones where, if without the benefit of the replay, you may be less likely to give it as a red, which is obviously what the referee did.
Yeah.
But then obviously having the hindsight of seeing it back, that's when you go, oh God, no, he is. It's off the ground, and there's no doubt he went in with force and pace and hard.
But the referee doesn't spend long at that monitor.
Nah. Which, as soon as you see where his foot is, then it's a red card all day. But that's where it's that almost snap decision of seeing it there. God, that's probably a wrong phrase to use given the circumstances, isn't it? But it's that quick decision that you've got to make there and then. And because he was in a good position to see it.
Great position.
So that's maybe why I didn't think it's what you're saying, that it's on first view that it was as bad as it could have been.
That's how I felt at first. I was like, that'll be a red card to yellow. It's a bad challenge, but it's a yellow. But then obviously seeing it again, and then me having to see it again to change my mind. But I think it's where VAR has worked, right? And we're often criticising VAR, rightly so as well. But in that instance, there that's what it's been put in for.
Games for us.
Yeah, last two, and also I remember the Man City one when Trippier got a red and it got turned over. It was Man City, wasn't it? When I still thought it was pretty. Could have been either way, but that's another instance where it's benefited with. But but anyway, sorry, back to that game there. It was where it did what it said on the tin type of thing.
Yeah, that's what it's there for. To the referee's was probably a bit apprehensive to give a red card so early in the game. So he's probably booked them and thought, if I'm wrong, then
I feel like on decisions like that, the referee should really be totally fluid in what he believes in.
Good instinct.
Do you know what I mean? If that's what you think, you do it.
Maybe it was.
Because obviously he knows he's got the benefit of the doubt coming anyway.
And I think he did from his reaction straight away. He thought that's a hard challenge. He's gone in fast and booked him. But you think whether he thinks he's gone
it's not right
through
though.
the ball or something like that, which is why he's thinking it's not a red.
Yeah.
But it's certainly a bookable offence.
I'm not saying this is the correct method to do it, but does he not seem a bit better by giving a yellow to then get upgraded to a red rather than the other way around, where he could possibly give a red to get downgraded?
I don't think he'd be thinking that. If that makes sense. Again, I think he just in the moment has done what he believes is the right decision, and then obviously he's once he knew he was going over there,
and the challenge was so fast that he probably didn't even realize where the connection was, or if there was even a connection there, to be honest.
And as Mark's saying there, maybe the referees, because the ball obviously clearly gets played, but of course we know that's Longstaff, but maybe the refs thought that there was a bit of both. Maybe he has taken the ball a touch and then obviously clattered Longstaff.
Won the ball first, it's sort of thing, but Mark, it was great to see Callum Wilson back on the field. Scores just a few moments after the
he could have scored before that.
It was a hell of a chance, wasn't it?
It's a little header, doesn't he?
No, I was on about the open goal.
Oh, sorry.
I don't know. He tries to be. I thought, almost just clever. He tried to be clever there. It was a weird one.
Poking in the far post.
Yeah, he tries to be like chip it almost.
So he gets obviously his start after his injury, and we needed him 100% with the injuries that we had. Chris Wood did make the bench, but you don't want him really starting games for you unless it's basically.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, worst case
Sorry, Chris,
scenario
if you're
really at the moment, isn't it? Sorry, mate.
He's not that bad.
You know what I mean, though. We've got 2 ahead of him right now. We really do. But great to see Wilson back. He just proves once again he's an absolute top striker.
Yeah, absolutely. It's, as you say, he's the man that you want in and around those positions. He's a goal scorer, so give him a half a sniff and he'll, normally 9 times out of 10 he'll score. As I say, he could have had one earlier on. I think had he have not been out for so long and that be his real first opportunity, he'd probably have done better. But he's probably kind of snatching it a little bit and trying to get it. But certainly for the goal, that goal poaching instinct certainly took over, because it might have snuck in without his little touch, but he wasn't taking any risks.
Me and Dagger had a quick discussion on this on Saturday. Do you think it was going in? Because we're the other side of the fence. I think it might have hit the post, and it could go anywhere after it's hit the post.
I don't think Wilson, like, obviously we from the angle we're seeing exactly where the ball's like rolling. Like going. Wilson's just tapping it in. Like, I think even he doesn't care if it's gone in, hitting the post, going wide. To him, I've got a chance. It's an open goal here.
That could be going along the line, and Wilson would still come.
If it's in the middle, if it's in the middle of the goal and it's going in, he'll still.
It's like what Shearer would do. Do you know what I mean? He wants the goal, and it's greedy, but that's what you want your striker to be. Like, honestly, right? I mean, obviously, there is great players out there called Jesus, and Haaland's the greatest ever, probably striker, but there's not many better than Wilson, for me, in terms of what he offers. For us anyway, like, he just leads the line so well, and no matter who we play against, no matter what game it is, he'll always get a chance, either through his own work rate, his own battling. He always seems to be in the right position. He's just invaluable. I just wish he was 10 years younger, to be honest.
Yeah. So Scott comments in last year in the cup, Joelinton left it, and everyone said he should have been putting it in. It was that Murphy that took the shot, and it.
Which one?
I should have just buried it, and it ended up hitting. Did it hit the post?
Do you know what it is? I was just thinking that when I was talking. Actually, I'm sure it was in the cup against Forest or something.
Yeah.
And the ball literally.
Murphy that had the shot.
I think it might have been, and he let it go, and it bounced off the post, and then that's 2-0. I remember that. I was actually thinking that when I thought of it. And Joelinton tried to be nice, and it made him look an idiot, really, because he
stood there like watching it.
I let it go in, and it didn't go in.
Yeah. But we'll get off a great start after the sending off. Obviously, we've discussed this, saying that it's crucial to dominate the game after that, but not just dominate, but score. Because to be fair, the team can sit back and defend.
We dominated the game from the kickoff. Trippier was playing almost as a right winger for most of the first 10 minutes.
No, not like what I said to you last week with Bournemouth. That's where he's going to play for. I'm telling you, that's what he's going to be.
But as we said then, it's horses for courses. You won't get away with that every game. And obviously, as the game progressed, he had more remorse.
Can we just take a moment 10 men, to really appreciate how good of a player Trippier is?
Absolutely brilliant.
He's an absolute Rolls Royce of a player.
Absolutely brilliant. He's a cut above him. He probably doesn't get all of the plaudits that he should, because there's other players in the team kind of that get more pomp about like the performances and stuff like that. He just goes about his business, no nonsense. And
I know we'll discuss this when the takeover straight went through. The Trippier was the marquee signing really during that transfer window. Is Trippier going to be what Company was for Man City in regards to that player that's the leader in that group that's going to be there for the next handful of years during this?
I'll only say no because of his age.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say.
That's all. That's unfortunately all it is. But it's not. I'm not saying that he couldn't be. It's just that it's his age, isn't it? Where his company seen that through from the very beginning all the way to the end. You know what I mean?
Position-wise, I think obviously as a centre back, you don't need that speed. What Trippier really does need being in that position. I think.
Honestly, I've read so much about this, but we're saying they say that Botman's going to be that player.
Yeah,
Botman's going to become our company in terms of being there for the whole story and become the man type of thing, you know. But Trippier, sorry to go back to him. he's constantly organising all the time. He never shuts up. He would do my head in if I played with him personally, but he's always, he's always telling people what to do. He's always very keen to calm everyone down, which I do love that. Where there's obviously going to be periods in games. I mean, there wasn't at the weekend, but where you'll be under the cosh for a period of time. But like when the ball goes out for a throw-in or goes out for a goal kick, he's the first to go, right, everyone just calm down, settle down. Like he's the first to do that. But it's his quality. I mean, that cross for the first goal. I mean, it was like a free kick. It was like a set piece, right? I mean, he obviously had the time, and it's like Beckham-esque where once he gets that first touch, it's pretty much a dead ball situation almost.
It's that movement where you just see him lift his head up, has a quick glance, and the way I'm putting this.
It's just wonderful,
it's
wonderful.
Pinpoint, isn't it?
Wonderful. And how we spoke about this so many times about his ability from dead balls and set pieces and stuff. He brings a lot. He brings more than that, of course, but I always think, honestly, when I hate that, when you concede a goal from a set piece and the manager, he'll be disappointed he's conceded from a set piece, or everyone's always disappointed from a set piece. They're a massive part of the game, huge part of the game. And let's be fair, right? Other than Cabaye, we've struggled for years having someone that's decent putting the ball in the middle. And Trippier again, like just unbelievable on the weekend there for that opening goal. And to go back to what you said before, when they went down to 10 men, it was so important for us to score early because we didn't give them a chance to regroup, to reorganise. They were 1-0 down. So that was what was great.
Just because we've just obviously just mentioned his name there as well, Sven Bottenmark, absolutely great game. An absolute great game. He won everything. I know there wasn't much to win, but he dominated there.
He just reads the game so well. Like he's just calm, assured. Like he takes everything in his stride in it, and he just goes around things, just no nonsense, just gets on with
it's
it.
Like he's got a very wise head on his shoulders.
Yeah,
he reads the game
he's
very
still
well.
very, very young, but I think the upbringing that he's had within football and the way that he's been brought up to play the game and kind of going over to France and getting a bit of experience there as well as kind of just gave him that appreciation of he's just a really nice continental style centre back of being able to read the game. He'd make a brilliant sweeper if you went back in that kind of that role that they used to play, because he's just got this ability to just look at what's happening in front of him and pick it up. We've seen it at times where people are a bit more direct at him and a bit more pace and stuff like that. That he's not quite up to speed with that side of the game as yet, because obviously we all know the English game is a lot more fast and frantic, and I think it just needs that little bit time to develop into that. But he could be a very, very good player for us, and a one that, as you say, could be around for a lot of years and could be
the poster boy of the Newcastle United era.
He's like Ivan Drago at the back, man. He's just so.
He doesn't panic, does he?
No. I suppose, to be fair to Burn is equally like this in terms of what I'm going to say here, but like for such a big lad, right? Like he's so good on the ball, and it's just not something that I normally expect. I don't expect a tall player like him, a centre half, to be so comfortable on the ball, and Burn is as well. But Botman,
with both feet as well.
Yeah, you can use both. Obviously, of course, he favours his left, but both feet. Honestly, he's going to be something else. He really is. And what's been unbelievable, I haven't even really had to throw him in and rely on him. We're picking and choosing the moments here when we're playing, which is just phenomenal, really, to be in that situation.
Let's get on to the main man then. So the man who, after we had a go at him last Monday about being so one-footed, Miggy had probably the best game he's ever had for Newcastle United at the weekend, and marked that goal, just a touch on it, mesmerising.
You know what it is? I've loved watching, especially tonight. The club have tweeted out the view of the goal from every single camera angle.
Oh, have they?
Yeah. So when you watch it, and this is something I picked up on the kind of watching the replays of it and stuff like that, and in just the actual showing back of the goal. But when you watch it back, and just as he hits the ball, you can almost hear a gasp in the crowd, as if what's happening here, and then obviously it hits the back of the net, and you just hear there's like a momentarily lull of like, has that just happened? And then the Newcastle fans just start cheering, because it was one of those moments where 999 times out of 1,000 that ball just flies wherever and doesn't end up in the back of the net, but he just somehow connects absolutely perfectly, sweetly with his left foot.
Of course, it was always going to be
with his left foot.
Yeah.
And it's weird how he does like with the outside of his foot kind of thing, and it just flows beautifully into that top corner on the far side of the keeper, and I cannot see him ever doing that again. I mean, we know we've seen him score a couple, the one against Palace, where he scored a nice goal, but that he's just hit that beautifully.
My favorite thing about those sort of goals is that the keeper has no idea if that ball is hitting the back of the net until he hears it in the net.
Well, he almost doesn't. He kind of goes, will I, won't I? Like he's just caught between that this is going over, or is it going to drop? But he catches it so sweetly, and it just dips and goes into that corner. And
I think, I mean, let's be fair, right? You, when that ball's coming over, you're thinking, well, it has to be a right footer here. Like it just has to be. You know what I mean? Like the angle of the way it is. I don't know how he generates the power he does from his left foot at that angle. I cannot really. I'm not saying it was a blistering strike. What I mean was to even create that much power, because it's just not natural to hit the ball that way. He'll never score a better goal than that.
Oh, never ever.
And you know the whole move. You know, we kept the ball for ages before that, passing. And again, what I loved, which was different, he had the ball on the wide area, and he played it to Bruno. Bruno immediately.
Did you notice though when he got the ball there just before he plays it to Bruno, he loses control of it in his feet?
Yes,
he has to knock it to himself before. Yeah. So it's quite funny that he can't control a ball like that before the pass, but then he comes and pulls out a worldie.
Yeah. But we discussed the ball from Bruno. It comes from a height.
Yeah,
I've seen that pass a couple of times back now. He knows exactly what he's doing. With
yeah,
that ball.
He does. Because from the first time I seen it, I didn't really. The first time I seen it, I remember not criticizing him. I was like, oh, that's a bit, and then he scored. It was over. I just felt that the ball was a bit high, as if like it was. I'm not saying it was a bad pass. I'm not trying to say that, but when I've watched it back, I'm like, oh, actually, like that was probably the only way the ball was going to get there was by doing that.
He's lifting it over because he's thinking, oh, I'll get it to there. Miggy's running in, then Miggy's going to be able to put it across flash it across the goal. Yeah. But
it's a lovely pass. I go back. What I was going to say was Miggy is past that ball and moved, pass and move, and it's easy to say, nice. You know, but he gave it and he carried on his run. Which created the move, and then he's finished it. It was a tremendous.
Google says it's the best 1-2 that he's ever seen.
It was unbelievable. It really was. It was absolutely.
And Dan follows that up by saying Bruno brings out the best in Miggy. We said this from day one, didn't we?
Well, they've got a real sort of chemistry, haven't they? You can tell it. Bruno seems to know where he's running. Almiron's more than willing to do runs, but he'll, as I've said this before, he'll do even more when he knows Bruno's going to be able to find him. You know what I mean? It gives you that confidence, doesn't it? I'm going to make this run, but he'll find us.
And this is why I've been such an advocate of getting Bruno higher up the pitch. Don't stick him in that number 6 role in front of the back four where he can't do as much damage. And that's why I wasn't so bothered about Longstaff coming in, because you know that's where he's going to go. Yeah. He'll go and sit down there, which allows Bruno to get forward and support. I think Willock as well had an absolutely unbelievable game. Yeah. He was everywhere. And again, you're getting the best out of Willock because he's up alongside Bruno.
So we're saying Bruno brings out the best out of everybody.
Absolutely. But having him in that forward position up there where he can cause carnage, he can pick passes and doing it, that's where we need him to be, because that's where we get the most value out of him.
So sticking with the goal of Miggy, Blue Rhythm Boy says, was it better than the goal he scored against Palace? 100% for me.
Oh yeah, without question. Yeah.
Technique wise and finish wise, it has to be. I think the Palace one was different because he kind of makes it himself with the run up the line and then obviously cuts in and then curls it in. It's a lovely goal, but from as I say, just from looking at you get it from that crowd's reaction that you've seen something special when you watch that replay and that audible gasp as he strikes it and scores, and then that momentary realization of yes, it's in. People couldn't believe it.
It's a more orthodox finish, the one against Palace. For all mind you, it's an absolutely unbelievable finish. It's a postage stamp, and it's unbelievable where he's started the move from, and it is amazing. But it comes inside, and he bends in the top corner.
You see goals like that every couple of weeks or whatever.
But that one there was just so unorthodox in terms of you shouldn't be able to score that goal with your left foot from there. Simple as that. It was unbelievable.
It's up there with the CCA goal, isn't it?
That's what I said on Saturday. Like, I mean, CCA's was absolutely ridiculous. Like, but it was similar in terms of like how it defies the laws.
Instinctive sort
It's
of,
just it shouldn't go in. Basically, it shouldn't happen. So amazing.
But just to quickly go through the rest of the game before we go on to everybody's questions. Longstaff gets his goals first in 14 months. I said on Saturday. I'm sure I heard that right as well.
Took it well.
He did take it well.
Got to be in the right positions.
And he grafted to get there when all the Fulham players were asleep.
Fantastic save from the keeper.
Yeah, the fingertip save which
bottom was going
on the post.
Yeah.
Bottom, yeah.
He got up really well. It's weird because when you look back at that game and you look at the score, you think, oh, God, that keeper's must have been right in for it. But he had a hell of a game.
Oh, yeah.
Keeper. He pulled off a load of good saves.
I actually felt for him a little bit on that one. I thought he just put a worldie off there and then obviously shot.
But there was two or three really good saves that he made, and he looked quite comfortable like all game, but he still conceded 6 goals as it happens, but obviously 2 of them were ruled off. But
I thought Longstaff had a very good game as well, to be fair. I think sometimes when let's just say a few things about Fulham for a second. Then when they went down to 10 men, I haven't seen many teams
give up so easily.
Yeah, I honestly haven't seen many teams react that way at that level anyway, like that. And obviously, when you've got so much of the ball, everyone's looking lovely. Oh, he's looking great, great. We've got the ball all the time. It looks great, it looks lovely. But I did think Longstaff had a very good game, and I thought, you think he's got that lad sent off by getting in there first, draws the foul for sending off. He then grabs himself a goal. I thought he was excellent, to be fair, Longstaff. And he actually has been good, hasn't he, though? I think he's been solid, and how clearly believes in him. And it's funny, you go back, I'm sure we all said, Longstaff, I'm not sure he'll last under Howe, and we'll be bringing players in. But there he is. He's becoming more like the Longstaff that we had under them 10, 11 games on a Rafa.
I think that's circumstances, though, because if Shelby wasn't out with that long-term injury, then he probably wouldn't be anywhere near the team, would he?
Well, perhaps not, but perhaps not.
But he is, and once again, it's another body there in that centre of the field that's an option. So we've now got Bruno, Willock, Longstaff, Joe Linton, and Shelby.
Yeah, 5 for 3 positions. 5 for 3.
We're packed in there, and if you're looking at Willock, Shelby, Joe, and Bruno, I'll probably say we're best 3, even though I haven't seen Shelby this season. Your backups aren't too bad at this moment in time.
No.
Willock's improving each week. He's dipped 1 or 2 games, but I think he's a hell of a lot better player than what he was last season.
Obviously, again, I've just said there, being able to play that further up the pitch and alongside Bruno, and that means that you've got to then leave out Joe Linton for that to happen. For them to be up front. So
I know you want to play that, and that's fine, right? Listen, I'm not disagreeing. Do you really think that Longstaff's the good enough quality to be the sitter? And I'll break up the play and I'll do all the dog shit for you lads. Because I'm sorry, I don't.
I think Longstaff will stay at the club for a long time, but a bench player.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah. I think it's a combination. That's why I love 3 in midfield, and I'm sure.
I forgot to even mention. Sorry, Darryl's just said Anderson as well.
Oh yes, he's my mate. I like him a lot. I'm sure we've sat in here back in the pub years ago when we did it in there. I love 3 in midfield. I've always said it, and I used to always say Shelby and Hayden were just getting outrun.
Back to the pub days, mate.
Because it used to annoy us. Shelby and Hayden were just chasing shadows every game because there just wasn't enough. Having that extra body in midfield means it's so much more flexible in being able to, if you're under the cosh, you can all sit back in. Joe Linton is a bit of everything, I think, when he plays. He's a destroyer going back. He can play. He's left wing sometimes for you. He's covering for Target. If Target goes forward, he's covering for Maxi loads. He always shuffles over at the left. And again, by having 3 in midfield, it allows your wingers to be a little bit more aggressive going forward because they can just push out wide. The 3 in the middle, 2 of them can just fill in for you.
Yeah,
it's a wonderful formation, really, that we've found ourselves playing. And it is nice, for example, Shelby coming back. You can go back maybe a year ago, people wouldn't be arsed if he wasn't here, Shelby. Do you know what I mean? But
after the send-off against Spurs, a lot of fans, probably including myself, said that I wouldn't be disappointed if he never
this is his time. And then all of a sudden it came to like, God, he's really good on the how. He's losing all this weight and he's doing really, really well. I've always liked Shelby.
We're back in a position where we were under Rafa, where we can see every single player improving now. Because under Bruce, everybody would seem to be going back over. Apart from Saint, I would say.
Nobody's went back over, I don't think.
I don't. This time around, no. Not a single person.
No, I really know.
There's that little smirk on his face. Who do you think's gone back over?
I don't know about back over, but every single person. I was saying Jacob Murphy's brilliant.
No,
I'm not saying
I
he's good player. I'm just saying he hasn't regressed.
I would say
Has he improved?
Have we seen enough of him?
We've seen a lot of him this season.
We've seen him in glimpses. I don't
This
think.
is me, Slav. I feel bad. I'm slagging off a player.
You don't like to do that. What I would say with Murphy is
he's the one that sprung to mind of not.
Well, all right, then 1 out of 50 or whatever.
That's all I can point the finger at.
Okay.
And I feel bad for doing it, but he hasn't been great, has he?
He does mad things, doesn't he? At times, where he's got so much pace. I mean, if he didn't have pace, he'd have absolutely nothing, in my opinion. But he's got so much pace, and he works hard on that. But some of his final balls are just ridiculous.
I wanted to work out for him, but for whatever reason, it just doesn't click.
Has it? Yeah, hasn't clicked.
I'll tell you what it is, though. We don't half like playing down there, do we? We batter.
Oh, yeah. Every single time.
Every time. It was 4-0 under Rafa. Under Rafa. It was it under Bruce? It was like 6-2 or something. It was a mental game, I'm sure. Well, it got about 3 or 4 or something. It was mental, man.
The beat with
we wouldn't have scored 6 with Bruce in
the
charge.
season we went down, they won there,
season.
didn't
They won, yeah.
Because
it was welcome to the Sky Bet Championship.
But we've really put them to the sword, like, haven't we? The last few times we've been there, like.
Anything which, actually, before we wrap the game up, Mark, what was your opinions on the goal conceded? So Eddie Howe changed things.
I think it was a lot of substitutions, wasn't it, in a short period of time, and
3 of your 4 defenders.
Obviously, it's hindsight, isn't it? You probably you wouldn't want to see that many people coming on in one go, but he's doing it for the reasons to take players out of the firing line, give them a little bit of a rest, give them a bit of reprieve, give the other players a bit of a run out. So you can understand why he's doing it. We should have been more than comfortable enough at that point to be able to bring them on and not concede. But it's just, it's one of them things, isn't it? Lascelles could do better. He could get tighter to his man.
Lewis could probably do better.
It's
arguably, I would say Pope could even do better.
I think it
doesn't matter at the end of the day, but it's.
I tell you what, though, Botman
was not frustrating.
Happy.
Yeah, well, that's it. When you've gone that long in the game, and to keep a clean sheet as a defender and as a goalkeeper is what you're there to do. So when you've done 99% of your job, and then
100%
that happens when you're so comfortable in the game, you've got to be frustrated and annoyed.
Well, speaking about a different team, Man City did it yesterday. They made 4 or 5 subs. Conceded loads in the second half. Do you know what I mean? And we did the same. I'm not disagreeing with anything Howe did in terms of bringing them players off, but we just were, they weren't at it when they came on. And it is disappointing to concede a goal, and Howe will be disappointed we conceded the goal, no question. And I know we're not looking about the season and never talk about that one goal by Fulham, but it just, you're trying to, you're building something, aren't you? Every single time, and it would have been, as Botman is so frustrated there, he wants to get in there at 4-0, keep that clean sheet. So it's disappointing. We're a little bit sloppy towards the end, but
anything else to add on the game, Mark? Anything that you need to get off your chest or want to praise?
No. I think it was important to have a good reaction, get a win on the board.
We needed that swing of momentum in a positive note, and we got it.
Yeah, I think I'll go back to what I said on Saturday about it was an amazing result considering that you had Maxi didn't play, you got minutes of Bruno, Wilson got minutes, Isak has been able to recover. And we didn't even know he was missing. Didn't need him to be. Didn't care if he was missing because we were so good on that day. And I think that's what's important. That you've getting through that game. Your important players have getting extra minutes, and you haven't missed any of the ones that weren't there.
Yeah. I'll start the questions off. If anybody else does have any more questions, send them in as quick as possible, and we'll go through the next 20 minutes answering all your questions. If you are a member, better chance of getting them read out as well. So become a member. It's $2.99 a month.
But before we do any questions, if you haven't done it already, like the video. It really helps.
We are also
press the like, get the algorithm going.
We are only 40-ish members away from 9,000 subscribers as well. So if you're watching this and you're not a subscriber, do that. So this isn't a question which has been sent in, but this is a question which I'm going to throw at you two.
This is a Billy bonus question.
Is it a concern that this 2-week injury to Saint is still seeing him not make the bench? It's been
I said similar last week around the fact that he was out with something that wasn't wasn't serious. It wasn't anything to cause a concern. And here we are, weeks and weeks down the line with it. And the fact that Eddie Howard came out in his press and said that, you know, he wasn't feeling quite ready. And we got talking about the whole, is it a mental thing? God, we don't know, but it does happen with him, doesn't it? He'll go out with something kind of that seems innocuous for a little while, and then he's out for a long period of time. And
done it again.
What?
I blocked somebody.
You blocked the wrong person.
Daryl. I'm sorry, Daryl. I meant to start.
You shouldn't be allowed them controls.
I meant to start his comment so I could come back to it. And I blocked it.
You blocked him.
Sorry,
Daryl.
Scott, I've just texted you. I'm not sure if you've read it, mate, but if you can log on and unblock Daryl for us, mate.
What were you trying to block? Like what was it?
Nobody. I meant to start his comment, but it comes up.
It must have been that important of a question that he blocked him.
Absolutely spraying these blocks recently. Sorry, mate.
Yeah, I've no, I'm not saying. Yes, he's got a case of the Daniel Surges, hasn't he? A bit, I think, where it's like the scans and all the physios are saying, "Oh, you're fully fit, you're 100%," but he doesn't feel it, and it's kind of like you're in this battle of, "Well, no, you are." Like we're telling you are, and he's like, "No, I know my body, and I'm not."
It's weird though because he keeps posting
I know.
loads of videos of him like doing
Dancing
100-meter sprints and running on treadmills and all
Mhm.
of this kind of thing, and then the next minute he's not
It's
not part
really
of the
strange.
game again as well.
Really,
It's
really
like
strange, yeah. It's
you
really...
just don't know what's going on.
The thing that's helping with is that we're not losing games of football, because if you're losing games and this was going on, that's when all of a sudden the cloud is above him or above the team and above him. But when you're winning, it's at the minute, you know, it's all. But I still think it's a worry though. Moving forward for the longer side of things, that has to change. Like something has to be.
It puts doubts in people's minds about him, doesn't it? And that's
100%.
you look back to last season, obviously when he was pictured in the chamber thing and the reaction to that happening.
Well, you have to remember, there's no one loves him more than me. No one, not even his own children, right? I love him the most. But it concerns me a bit. So, like, do you know what I mean? Christ, if I'm concerned, be concerned if I am, because, like...
Do you think... Is it solely a case where what you just said there, it's same thing, and I'm not feeling it this week, in regards to he's feeling some sort of niggle or a muscle injury or something like that? So it could be a case where the club doctor is saying, well, we're expecting him to be fit next week.
Yeah.
But then that's up to saying at the end of the day.
It is, yeah, it is. And obviously the professionals, you know, like our physios and stuff will be saying, listen, the scan's clean. You know, you've been doing this, you've been doing the running on the bikes and all that type of stuff. You're ready to go. And if he just keeps saying, no, I'm not quite ready. I don't know why. Maybe he doesn't feel ready, but I don't know.
You'd hope from his latest post that means he's back at the weekend.
I agree. I definitely agree there. He would absolutely torture them, can I add?
It would have went wild.
God almighty, but yeah.
Wild. So we'll continue with this. First question is from Graham Dougal, who is a member, yet to be blocked. Says,
watch out.
Do you think Isaac could take St. Maximum's place?
No.
I wouldn't be shocked to see him play in a similar sort of position as Saint does. But I don't think he's taking his position, if that makes sense.
He could play on the left wing, given certain opposition, or if we need to play in a certain way. But the two very, very different players.
Daryl's back, by the way. Welcome back,
Hiya,
Daryl.
Daryl. Welcome back.
I've been slagging you right off since you've been gone.
Sorry, man.
I bet he's unliked the video now as well.
He also said, he's been blocked in his birthday week. Who has a birthday week?
Birthday week?
I bet you have a birthday week.
I do.
I fucking knew it.
My birthday's next week, so yeah.
But you're saying no, he's not.
No chance. Maxie's the greatest. So I might be sound biased and stupid, but I feel like if Maxie's fit, he's on every time.
He's never fit though, is he? So that's...
Well, you know, no, he's on, and I still believe that. Well, the problem for me is Almiron. Sorry, that sounded awful. He's not a problem whatsoever. What I mean is like
the problem's that Almiron scored a bastard
I know.
brace.
It's like because he's, you know, listen, the Bournemouth game we're criticising, right? But I'll repeat myself again here. When we're reviewing a game, it's hard not to criticise someone. We don't mean we don't like him. It's just we're judging him on an hour and a half game of football. Mm-hmm. He was absolutely outstanding there against Fulham. So, you know, if Isak's back and Saint's back next week, I mean, you're not dropping Almiron, like. I mean, how can you?
Yeah.
You know, and for me, I would say Maxi comes in alongside Wilson and Almiron and Isak sits. But then I always have this thing about how can you have your record signing just sitting on the bench? You cannot do that. You know, so it's going to be really, really interesting how he does that. It really is. I haven't got the answer for you.
I think we'll have to get used to that though, of leaving players out, because you cannot fit everybody into the team. We've had it with Botman.
Do you think Wilson will just be sacrificed? Bottom line, like. Isak, you're up front, Almiron right, Saint left. Why are you dropping Wilson? Just saving you, mate.
Yeah, I think it'll be particularly this season when we're going to have a lot of weeks where we're going to have double game weeks and stuff like that because of the World Cup. We're going to have hopefully good cup runs and stuff like that. So you're going to have players that'll have opportunities. We all know what Wilson's injury record's like, so.
And that's what I mean.
I think it'll be.
I'll save you for Saturday, or save you for Wednesday.
It's going to be.
You know what I mean?
You'll have to pick and choose players based on, as we've already said today, and in a number of weeks, based on the opposition, how we'll set up to play, how they're set up, and whether it'll be somebody where we're looking to counteract them and counter attack with pace. That's when you probably see Isaac coming up. If you want to, put a ball into somebody and then bring in the rest of the team, Wilson's your man to hold that up. So
because I go back to the Bournemouth game, and I there's no slight on Isak here, right? I've seen him twice. I don't see him as that focal point striker like Wilson is at all.
Yeah,
at all. I feel like he has to be up there with someone, and that's why I truly believe it will be Maxi, Wilson up front, and then Isak to the right of him. I'm not saying right wing, but to the right of him.
There was a comment there by Golden God that says Isak isn't a winger. Well, no, he's not a winger. But on last week's podcast, I think it might be best you that explained obviously how that position's changed, whether you're attacking or defending.
Yeah.
When you're attacking, he's not necessarily playing on the wing. He's dropping in behind the striker.
That's right. Yep.
Basically. We're not saying he's just going to sit on that line, on the byline, running.
Which is what Almiron's doing at the minute. For
exactly.
That's and they will not play the way Almiron's playing right wing. No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
But in order for them, I just feel that he needs to play with someone up front. I mean, someone might say he didn't against Liverpool and he scored 2, technically. That is true. That is true. But based on that Bournemouth game, when they were sitting in deep there, I feel we would have won that game if I had Wilson. I really feel we would have. It's easy to say now, of course. It's easy to sit here and say that. But it's interesting, isn't it? But again, as we've said before, it's lovely to know we've got a real headache in a nice way. We've got a real headache coming, I think. And anyhow,
there's been headaches all over.
And I think that's the key thing is when you come up against a team like Bournemouth who are just going to sit and put 10 players behind the ball, that gives your strikers no space to get in behind them or get in between the channels. That's when you wouldn't play Isak in an ideal world. You would.
Or you'll bring Wood on.
Wilson.
You'll bring Wood on with 87 minutes. No, I'm just jumping.
So you look at the opposition, how they set up. But if you're then playing against, as you've just said, against Liverpool, who'll bring the game to you and put you under pressure, that then leaves space in behind, then 100% Isak's your man to be there because you'll get the best out of him.
It definitely, I totally agree with that. But again, how many times can you say to your £60 million man, well, this week, technically, you're not going to be the man, so you sit on the bench this one. But next week you will, because we're playing someone that's precious hard.
But he's
hard, that, like.
He's still a very young player, and he'll be able to learn and improve his game and pick up. Even just being in training alongside Wilson, he'll see a lot of improvements.
It'll be a test to see how headstrong he is by not being in that starting 11 every week.
Yeah, well, that's why I didn't like the injury he got. I'm sure I touched on this last week, that I hate new signings getting injury early doors. It hasn't been a serious one, which is fantastic, but I like that bedding in process just to be nice. I know Bruno didn't start, but he was training all the time. And with him getting that injury early, I just think that's sometimes set you back. But
because apparently our transfer target in the summer, Ekateke, isn't happy about the lack of game time, which he's getting.
Well, which
also that coming
sunshine. Me surprised that was going to happen.
Yeah, and apparently I think that the head coach said that when he starts showing improvements in training and effort in training and improving his attitude, have we dodged the bullet there? Because it certainly seems that way.
It's a difficult one. I mean, if you go back to You remember Maxi was playing on Vieira, and Vieira hated him, didn't he?
Slagged him
Hated
off,
him. And in fairness, right? Like, I know people have the say on him, but he's doing all right. Like, he's not a bad egg. But like, how would have managed that situation? Obviously, completely different. And in fairness to him, he would have played for us, probably, right?
Yeah. He's
not playing for them because they've got the best three players in the world up front.
True.
But yeah, no, it's a difficult one. But we are what we are. We've plunged for him. He's the guy that we've went for. And I think if we're being absolutely brutally honest, we kind of know Wilson's going to break down again at some point, and he will be the man up front on his own again at some point. But when they're both fit, it's going to be interesting how he fits them in.
He's going to be here for a while because he's just signed a new contract today.
2 years, yeah, amazing. So, as I said, I wish he was 10 years younger.
You missed that one, didn't you?
I completely missed that. Yeah, I haven't really been on Twitter.
Signed a new contract
the last few months. To be fair, last couple of months, I've completely missed that.
Yeah, it's been amazing, hasn't it?
Did we get an interview as well?
No, I didn't.
No.
It was just like the announcement of it being 2 years. 2 years.
Nobody's even mentioned it in the comments.
There was. I thought I was going to say it just before there when he mentioned something about helping the young lads, helping him because he's young. That was part of what was mentioned in the speech that I seen was like
a mentor.
Yeah, he's going to stay for 2 more years, and there's an option of further in a mentor role or something like that, which is great. Great. Yeah.
So next question is from Josh Stockton, who has sent in a donation as well. Thanks very much, Josh. Appreciate it as always. Sir. Says, hi lads, hope you're well. Great win on Saturday. What did you think of the starting lineup going into the game? We touched on that at the very start. We're all a little bit shocked. Yeah. And shocked and intrigued as to why.
Yeah.
Especially with Jordan on being on the bench.
Yep.
He says it was the first time he disagreed with Eddie Howe, but can't complain given the result. Even Murphy wasn't as awful as usual.
It's a backhanded compliment if I've ever heard one, isn't it?
It is. I think the whole thing about Murphy, which we've discussed earlier, is that he probably looked decent because of the time which every single player had on the ball. And that's not me being a dick. It's kind of is like, but
no, it's not. I mean, if we were playing against Leeds away, say, or Villa away, it would have been a hell of a different game. Let's be fair, right? But again, you can only beat what's in front of you. You can only manage the game that you're in at that moment, and they did it, and that's fine.
Well, you normally see when a player gets sent off for a team, particularly that early in the game, that team will just go ultra defensive, get as many bodies behind the ball as they can, and just make it really, really difficult for the opposition.
So the reason I haven't seen the Callum Wilson news is because the club haven't officially announced it. Apparently, it was Ornstein that had reported it.
Right, okay.
I just seen a few. Woff's reported it. Ornstein's. There's been a few reporters that have done it. Carried the
knocked them up the highest earner, or up there with the highest earners.
So, but again, that's why you haven't seen an interview video and stuff like that.
Video format of it tomorrow at some point, hopefully. Next question is from Joseph Brook that says, do you think we'll see rotation because of the amount of games coming up?
Yeah, we're just talking about that.
We kind of just have. I mean, we kind of just have on Saturday. You know what I mean? And how said this a lot of times like that. It's not 11 players, it's a 25-man squad type of thing, and he will be using bits and pieces of that as it goes on. I think over the years, what's going to be fascinating and lovely to see is the quality of them bench players and them secondary players. Yeah. It's just going to be stronger. And you hope to be in a situation where, we are up front. You take Wilson off, you bring an Isak on. Do you know what I mean? It's that type of. Whereas at the minute you lose Maxi, will play Murphy. I mean, I'm slighting him again, but like there's a difference in class there. And I'm not saying you'll ever get another Maxi, but a player that can come on and you think, he's all right, he's just as good type of thing, And that'll over the years to come. But sorry, I went on a tangent there. Yes, we will definitely see some kind of rotation.
And that was the whole reason why I was saying about having your record signing on the bench, and that we will have to see that going through. And as we start to improve the squad, then other players will get left out. We're seeing it, as I've already said with Botman, we saw it with Bruno when he came in, of that having that quality and being able to think, right, again, you look at who's the worst player in that 11, right? You look to improve there, and you move on, and so that you're gradually getting better and better and better. So
with you saying that, I'll just come very quickly to this one here. Pope obviously coming in for Dubravka. We sat around this table and said, in area we've got to strengthen on. Where's the weakest link? And I always just bypassed that. It's all right. And then he didn't get in the squad again on Sunday at all. What a waste of time that is for him. I mean, it's hilarious in one sense, but like. It's just mad, mad. Yeah. But anyway.
There's two questions here from Graham Dougal and Dan Whitten, which are very similar. So I'll just read them both out. He says, so Dan says, Willock looked a lot better on the left rather than on the right. Is this going to be a role for him going forward? Well, that obviously clashes with Joe Linton's position.
Yeah, said before.
Graham Dougal follows up saying, do you think Willock benefited from playing on the left, or did he just have a better game overall? Once again, it's another headache for Eddie Howe, because Willock did have a decent game, but if Joe Linton's fit for the next game, Joe Linton goes back in that position for me.
Yeah, I think if you think the one thing that popped in my mind there was the Leicester goal when Bruno scored. Willock was bombing down the left, and there's just a few flashes come back in my head where most of his good work has actually probably come from the left. But if Joe Linton's in there, I mean, well, I'll ask you this question now then. So you've got the three that's just finished that game there. Do you go with the same three again, or if Joe's trained all week, does he just come straight back in? And who does he come in for?
He comes straight back in for me for Longstaff. I know he got his goal, but
and then Willock goes back to that side, and then
I think your best player start and Joe Willock's and Joe Linton's in that starting 11.
As I've said, you're then not getting the best out of Bruno by popping him back into that number 6.
Was he not arguably playing in that number 6 role anyway? He just had more space, so he was higher up the field.
In fairness, I honestly seen him coming back almost like the Kabay days, where he's almost like another centre half. He's coming that deep for the ball, and I'm fine with that, by the way. But I still think Bruno's a bit of everything. Like, do you know what I mean? He's not just a.
He doesn't have that. He's not sitting on one side, area of the field. He's everywhere.
But he was certainly.
He dressed over the right hand side half the time.
You look at where he was. He was certainly in that advanced third.
Is that not
more than anything
of the space that we had?
It's the position that yes, that will have an effect on it, but it's the position he's playing in.
All three midfielders were in and around that.
And
area.
you also mentioned Trippier, who I still say will be playing that role. Trippier was a right winger. He was like Trent, getting wrong, and I get so high up the field all the time. But that was because of the way the game unfolded so early on, you know.
I think that three midfield players, your three centre midfield players, I don't think really after the sending off, the all has a designated area in that midfield. They were all over the shop.
I disagree. Yes, they were covering each other because Longstaff got forward on occasions. Bruno dropped back on occasions
from the right hand side.
But 100% Longstaff was the one that was sitting, and Willock was, as we're saying, the forward to the left, and Bruno was the forward to the right.
Well, Willock always is that, isn't he? Willock is always the one that I would say is the most advanced of any of them. I just think, like, for me, just the way the game panned out, I just think you can't just hang your hat on it and go, yeah, he should play there all the time. I just feel like, for me, Joe Linton would come back in, no question. And I actually would probably drop Willock personally. But
that's why I said to get Willock into the team, you have to drop Joe. And do you do that? They give you completely different things. That's that's the key difference between them. Joe, as you said, will play that beast, breaking things up, being able to drop in, drop forward, and stuff like that.
But he cycles the ball well, I think.
He doesn't break into the box like
Willock
does. He doesn't create things like Willock does. So
he said the first goal came from Willock winning the back post. Yeah, like he was the one with the header. So got to give him credit there, of course. Again, it's another headache, I guess. But I'm just such a huge fan of Joe Linton. So I never thought I'd be saying that a couple of years ago, but I am, and I just feel that his stock of them, how many games, 25 in a row or something, deserves credit. And he's got credit in the bank, and he comes straight back in for me. But then again, as you say, who do you drop? And knowing what I've seen of Eddie Howe, he plays Willock every single minute of every game. Almost. He even played the cup game. I think he'll stick with Willock, Bruno, Longstaff, of course, and Joe. And I think Longstaff will be the one that gets
if it's a choice of who plays on that more advanced right centre midfield between Bruno and Willock, it's Bruno.
I think you've looked at this game the other way. I honestly think Bruno's number 6 in that game at the weekend.
So where was Longstaff playing?
That's what I mean. I don't think they've all none of them.
You just got to look back over all of last season as well. When he came in, where did he play?
Well, what last season did I do with it?
This is the positions that he was playing. And Shelby was playing in the holding. You get much more out of Bruno being further up the pitch. For not for the full game, but 80% of the game.
When's he been this defensive midfielder? Like this season, when have we went right? You're going to just sit there.
When Willock and Joe Linton have been playing, he's been the one that's been sitting deeper.
I would say Joe's probably more that player.
I don't think. I disagree.
Yes, they interchange a lot, but when they're set up Bruno, like you've just said there 2 minutes ago, you see him coming back into the back four and picking the ball up.
He's always done that.
But he wouldn't be doing that if he was
He's always
playing right
that,
up in behind.
Even you've just
the
last
strikers.
season, how many times was he picking up in the penalty box and trying to take everyone on? And everyone was like heart attack.
Last season when he came in, he was like playing more advanced though.
Oh, you know, he was.
100%,
But what I'm
But
saying,
this
though,
season, I don't think he has.
he was coming deep though. He was coming deep.
But that's what I'm saying. But that's because we haven't got Shelby playing in there.
Yeah, so I think this is why he's probably dropped.
When he has been playing into those positions is when Longstaff's been playing. So Longstaff's been the one sitting holding, and then you've had Joe and Bruno up front. When Willock plays, Bruno drops back, and then you've got Joe and Willock up front.
I think it's just the sending off, which is just threw him further up the field.
100%.
Everybody,
the whole team.
Like you said, Trippier was playing a winger.
He was. If Longstaff's a whole midfield, he fucking scored in the box, man. Like the whole team changed. The dynamic changed.
Centre back, man. Took his gloves off at one point.
I honestly, I've seen Bruno come dead deep.
He does, but
he does.
His position over the weekend was to be on the front right of the middle three. Longstaff is the bottom of the triangle. Willock is the left of the triangle.
We'll agree to
and
disagree,
Bruno at the
just
right.
like we always do on this podcast. Like we all do. Scott said, quick, somebody mentioned Saint. This one is from Dave P. That is, glad to be joining the stream live for the first time in a while. Welcome back, Dave P.
Welcome back.
I think that's Adam P's dad. Dave P.
Dave P.
He says, his question is, which positions would you strengthen in the summer, especially with the rebirth of Almiron? Does that change things? I'm bringing a player in that I've said since the very start of the transfer window. He scored a brace for Leicester, which has probably put his price up that little bit further. James Maddison.
He's scored two, didn't he?
Two cracking goals as well.
The free kick was amazing. I think he's
was Trippier-esque at the post and went in the goal.
Beautiful. I'm a massive fan of him because I love players, you know, that are coming on the ball, can find a pass, you know, them type of players, and he's absolutely brilliant. Now, obviously, you know, where does he fit in? All the rest of it, these questions marks bound to say. But no, I absolutely love the lad. I'd love to have him. To be fair, I really would.
It is the right side. That's where you need to strengthen, because as well as Miggy played at the weekend, he ain't a right winger.
Mm. So that's doing a fabulous job of molding him into that. Like
that's the one position where you don't feel you have a natural player playing in that position.
And I think it'll be. Do you know? This might sound wrong actually, but do you know when you think you're doing all right in an area? I think we're okay over there. It could go back to the goalkeeper actually, even the right back. And then when actual quality comes in, like when Trippier come in that position, you're like, fucking hell, that's what a right back does. Like, you just, that lift of quality is so visually, you know.
Yeah.
And I feel like Almiron's
obvious when it happens.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? And like Almiron's been doing brilliant over there, right? He really has. And I love him to bits, works tirelessly, had a worldly on Saturday. But I do feel if we got an absolute, you know, class right wing, I would go, all right, fair enough.
That's it. You look at that, we made do last season as well. Fraser had to play there for a long time and, you know, did as well as he did.
It's kind of like when, you know, when Wood went up front, and I used to criticize him, but everyone was like, "Hey, no, he's working really hard, and he's doing this, he's doing it." And you see Wilson up front for the last 2 games of the season. I was like, "Fuck now, that's what a striker can do." So it's, you know, I agree with Mark. I think right winger would be the area. I think because midfield was stocked, centre halves have got the best. We've got loads of them. To be fair, actually, depending on January or whatever, but Kraft's injury, how long is his for again?
He's out for all season.
Right, so was it?
Yeah. I do worry about obviously some happened to Trippier. I know Manquillo, everyone, but he's never. You know.
I've got Murphy dropping in there.
I just worry about that area, but it's a difficult one because
Manquillo's reliable.
He hasn't kicked.
He's obviously he's not Trippier, but he's he's reliable.
He's done well when called upon, but like I said, he's been a long time since he played a football game.
And it's a funny because you kind of just sign just because he's out, you can't then sign maybe another player.
Yeah,
because then you're gonna have 3 right backs, right? But we did it up front. You know, we've got 3 strikers up there. But I just think cover for Trippier if Kraft's out for the season, because Trippier could quite easily get hurt, and that would be a huge loss, wouldn't it? Because you might have Manquillo coming on, Murphy dropping in. All of a sudden, the difference is just remarkable. Like
Dan Winton says, we currently have 3 left backs on the bench. Why is Manquillo not making?
Yeah, I don't know why. I've never seen him. Honestly, I've never seen him. So I don't know if Howe doesn't rate him or something, but
possibly throw a target there right back.
Yeah, it would be interesting. I think to I don't know what you do. I really don't. Maybe may have to change formation, go to 3 at the back, play 3 centre halves, and change the formation somehow. But it would be that one area it's the right hand side then, right? The right winger needs improved. We don't need to improve the right back. We just need to have more depth there.
So because
I did actually wonder when I seen the team sheet of the weekend whether we might have played 3 at the back and put Trippier to the left and Murphy to the right.
I couldn't understand why people were thinking that. Burns played left back for
a few times, yeah.
And everyone, I'd seen loads of people say, "Oh, we must be going." I'm like, no, it's just be the 4 at the back and him on the left. But anyway,
we'll end it on this one. It's been quite a positive one, this one. So we'll end it on a bit of an angry tone.
Oh God,
an angry tone.
Do you know who this is going to be about? You might not have seen this actually, especially with we'll have another sabbatical on social media. So there's 2 questions in from this one. So this is first one's from Fish and Rods. That says, on a scale of 1,
is this about Michael Owen?
It is. So it says, on a scale of 1 to complete rat boy, how much of a horrible human is Michael Owen? Then Callum Lewis, similar sort of question, says, did you see the Michael Owen interview on BT Sport where he talks about his move to Newcastle? So it's when, have you seen it yet?
No, it's the kit show where they get the player on the talk through the kits.
Go around the shirts that they wore, the memorable moments wearing those shirts. So he comes to the Newcastle shirt.
Lovely shirt.
So he talks, So he talks about his move to Newcastle and how that came about. So Michael Owen's version of this story, Digger, is that the Real Madrid president came to Michael Owen and said, "You are welcome to stay here, but we have had a bid from a Premier League club. I understand if you want to go home." But Michael Owen believes...
So you're missing the key bit from there.
So he was in touch with Liverpool.
Told that Liverpool
were bidding for him. So he had inside information from Liverpool saying, we are putting a bid in for him. The bid was £10 million from Liverpool. Newcastle had bid £16 million for Michael Owen. So Michael Owen agreed to go to this Premier League club, thinking it was Liverpool. Then he said, all right, you're off to Newcastle. So Michael Owen turned around and went, oh no, I'll stay here. He wanted to stay at Real Madrid or go to Liverpool. Those were his options. He then goes on and basically says that every moment he was at Newcastle, he wanted to be at Liverpool. And the apparently the plan in place and the reason he went to Newcastle is because we promised to sell him for 12 million
after a year,
end of the first season. Yeah. Then as every season passed, it dropped down by 4 million. So we'll drop to 8.
Drop from 12 to 8.
Then to 4. So eventually he would get a move to Liverpool.
Now, I've got to say, at the time when he signed for us, there was a hell of a lot of rumours that was the case.
Which is fine. He also then says that it never really happened for him to move back to Liverpool because of the talent that Liverpool were bringing back. He
blamed it on his injury and getting injured in the
because he puts up the shirt and says that's why. Mention the injury, but then he also goes on to mention players saying that the reason I didn't go back to Liverpool was because they signed
Torres and Suarez.
Michael Owen was a Man United player when Liverpool signed Suarez. So Michael Owen is full of shit if we didn't already know that. It's just Michael Owen comes out all the time and he says, I would love to know why Newcastle fans hate us. You fucking answered your own question there, you little prick.
Is there a more hated ex-Newcastle player than Michael Owen?
Probably not, because on his return to St. James's Park when he played for Man U, that is one of the loudest I've heard it in a negative way. It was deafening, the noise that came out of the fans.
He's just an odious toad.
There's just no need for him to say all that, really, is there? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, listen, there's no harm in him saying that I want to go to Liverpool. I think, listen, he didn't have to say that. We all knew that. But to say things like, so when he scored 2 against Sunderland, we'll beat them 2-1. Like,
think about Liverpool.
Just think about Liverpool.
Want to score against 7.
Like, that's like, they're tough to take. I mean, we already have it in for him because of the way it ended. But it's awful to think that, or for him to say that while he's actually playing for and representing where he's feeling like that. It's bullshit. Like,
you'll if you watch it, you blood will boil.
Yeah, I might not.
He's just a horrible, horrible
Do you
individual.
think he's mainly... He realises Newcastle fans don't like him. That's obvious. Do you think it's more of a crave of love from the Liverpool fans?
100%, because when he signed for Man United,
He burned his bridges.
He burnt his bridges at Liverpool. So he makes it his business to try and,
He went for the
at
money.
every single opportunity, he talks about how he always wanted to play for Liverpool. He never wanted to leave Liverpool. He only ever wanted to go back to Liverpool. That's the rhetoric that comes out of his mouth every time he speaks about it.
Because his book is different to that. Then, like, he didn't say it like he just said that he thought Liverpool were the club he would be going to, and he thought them were the ones going to bid. But then Newcastle came in, and he had to sit down and he realised that actually them have paid a lot of money for me, and maybe it's what I should do, and you know what I mean, and blah 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 blah. So it's a totally different.
Yeah, he doesn't mention that whatsoever.
Yeah, so
That's what he's
written
he's telling the same story.
Aye.
He's leaving all of the detail out of it. He came and signed to us because he didn't have another opportunity,
Nobody
because
else
Real
wanted him.
Madrid didn't want him to stay there.
And Real
They
Madrid
basically
had
told him to go.
So basically, he's saying that the reason that he was looking for a move out of Real Madrid because of the star players they had, it was a World Cup year, and he had to be playing football. Hence why he accepted the move to Newcastle.
And he said before, like in the recent past, that he only came here for the money, and because it was that opportunity. That it's nothing new, but it just pisses you off every time he opens his mouth and talks about it. But he just put in this clip over the weekend, he's just put more and more detail into it.
Yeah,
He's poured peril onto the fire as well.
It's just,
yeah.
I can't honestly think of another player that's more hated than him.
There's nobody off the top of my head.
No, not for me. Like no. I know Enrique got a load of shit like mine when he came back, but he's on.
I think that's more of late,
Well,
isn't it?
But I remember when he had to go in goal and that, and they were like, "Fucking hell!"
That was more of a piss take, though,
Yeah.
wasn't it? Because
but we did it
wouldn't
because
challenge for the top
yeah,
six.
we won the top six, and then we were in the top four. It was amazing that, by the way, that day. But in terms of actual hatred, no, definitely him, because we knew that he was.
Bellamy gets a lot
taking
of
the
shit
piss.
as well, but
I love
again,
Bellamy.
not to the extent of
Bellamy's like nothing
Owen.
like compared to stuff like that.
I remember my dad shouting at ball as soon as that was the first game after I sold him. He was like behind the, "You're a fucking wanker for selling Bellamy." He was kind of my dad because he loved him. But it's just awful to hear, isn't it? You know what I mean? And it's the type of player that you know now with the structure we've got, we would never sign.
Yeah.
Because how's the type I think would look you in the eyes and would know you're not really.
Why are you coming here?
Yeah, you're not really up for it, or you don't want to be here, so we don't want you. So yeah. He's a twat, and we always knew, but it's just shit to hear, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, like do you know what is certain players piss you off, like Enrique, which you've said, who's apparently completely forgot that
He's never played for us, did he?
He's got their dicks in his mouth, hasn't he? It's
It's
awful.
He's absolutely choking on them, like
awful.
Janas somebody's mentioned Janas's name
again, yeah, but that's from the comments that he's made after the fact, and yes, when he left, it was around the goldfish and all of that kind of thing. But it's just the way he left, and then how he's gone on ever since. He's
also an awful commentator as well. And that, you know what I mean? Like
Janus or Owen?
No, but sorry, hi, both of them.
They're both, aren't they?
Yeah, but Owen's just everyone does. Nobody likes Owen, do they? Like,
and it's weird because
that's everyone he's been at.
Yeah, I mean, Liverpool would have loved him back in the day because he was unreal. Let's be fair.
I can remember back when we signed him. We opened up the stadium for a presentation day.
Well, Phil Elise in.
Like people go watching him for the presentation. He gave a speech on the pitch and stuff like that, and because it was a huge signing, he could have been massive at this club, an absolute legend, but. He's just tarnished his reputation from.
We
all know what happened here.
I
he scored a lot of goals.
Scored a hat-trick at West Ham.
2 goals against the Mackens.
Yeah, it was an amazing game. That man, Keegan was in the dugout. We beat them 2-1. He scored both. Like, you know what I mean?
He had a decent.
No, he did. 100%.
His stats are decent for Newcastle. They really are.
It's the last season, the injury, refusing to play. And then everything
it's the lack of respect he's shown as a football club since leaving as well.
That's it, yeah. And respect while playing for it, because if I remember rightly, he was injured for the entire season or for a long, long period of that season, and he still was desperate to go for England. And then obviously his knee wobbled and it was done. He snapped, and then where they were picking up the bill, and having a fucking, you know what I mean? It was just.
He was happy to sit there on 100 grand a week
Exactly.
while streaming for paying for Liverpool.
If anybody ever deserved to have to watch their daughter getting fingered on the telly, it's Michael Owen.
Is that how we've gone? All right, on that note, thanks everybody for watching. Like I said earlier on, we're not far away from 9,000 subscribers. So if you do want to help us out,
That deserves a subscribe.
It definitely does. Not like the video as well, helps us out massively. It'll show up on more Newcastle fans' timelines as well and their YouTube algorithms as well. So thanks for joining us. Plenty more stuff coming in the following days. You'll have your match preview, hopefully Beyond the Lines in there. You'll have extra time. You'll have Fantasy Premier League, which is getting recorded tonight, which will go out as early access to members as well, and plenty more. See you next week. Been a pleasure as always. Ta-ra.
See you, Decker.
Well, won you now.
Get in.